Good evening. This is Carrie V. Dean with another episode of A Dullard Speaks. Tonight, my topic of question is the question of who will I be voting for in the primaries? Everybody's jumping on, go Democrat, because you see what the Republicans did. And the Republicans are pointing the other way. No, you got to stick with Republicans because you know what the Democrats have done. Didn't we have an independent party? Is my question. And where are the independents? Why don't we hear much about the independent people out there? Bernie Sanders is about the only independent politician that I know of. And he's not truly independent, but at least he runs his platform based on his principles and not party principles necessarily. And that I can respect. But for all you young Dems and Republicans out there trying to make a name for yourself, try breaking away from the parties. Because I can't speak for every single American out there, but I'm one of many. I know for a fact that are disillusioned with the two-party system that's going now. Hey, let's start a progressives and conservatives party instead. You know, you want to use the word patriots? Okay, fine. But remember, we're still all Americans. So once you get into that place of power, don't forget that you may not like the policies of the other party. You might even hate the other person in the other party, but they're still American too. And that's something our current politicians don't seem to be grasping at all. Everything's down the wire, party. I'm sorry. There are some politicians that I admire because when it gets down to the hard nails, core truths of things, they will break out and reach across the aisle to one another. We need to hear more from those voices in our government. All this being suppressed because you're afraid to step out of party lines needs to stop. Okay? We need to stop the crazy. Oh, everybody's being loyalists now to one man. Well, quit blaming who voted where and who voted what. Look at the fact that the man won. He's in the office. Our problem now is getting our lack of spine Congress to grow one and tell him no. Make him face up to the big boy decisions that he's making that's ruining this country. But most of them are greedy too. So guess what? As long as we're in this bear market, it's hard for them to hear anything the people have to say because they're getting rich. I mean, anytime a congressman, I don't care whether he's Democrat or Republican, can stand up before his constituents and tell them he doesn't care what they have to say because it's already been voted on and that's the way it is. Yeah, that's somebody that don't need to be re-voted back into office. Okay? And there's been several politicians, and they know who they are, that have done that to their constituents. That's why they're not holding town halls anymore. Because they know the people are ready to lynch them. You want to bring lynchings back? Well, you guys spoke too soon because the way Donald Trump's going, we're going back to the times of where it was just a shoot 'em up for all. Trying to take over the D.C. governing body and police department. Come on, give me a break. All because your big balls couldn't handle some 14-year-olds. Hey, you know what? He probably shouldn't have taken his racist butt to the part of the neighborhood that he got beat up in. Yeah, so, let's look at the factors, all the factors here. Not just jump to conclusions that he got jumped because he was a Republican. No, he got jumped because he probably opened that thing that's underneath his nose and overloaded what was in his clothes. Let's just stop with all the crazy. But I digress because we got a man with dementia running the country right now. Whatever he says to you while sitting and talking to you in 1 minute, I guarantee you he couldn't repeat what he just said because he doesn't remember what he just said. Yeah. So he tried to talk about Biden. At least Biden knew when to get out of the game. Can't say the same for him. But he can't afford to get out of the game. That's the only thing he does remember. If he gets out of the game, he goes to jail. And he doesn't want to go to jail. Our fearless leader don't want to go to jail. Well, he shouldn't have done all the crimes he did before he got in office. The man has committed more felonies than people have been in prison for the 1 or 2 felonies that they did get caught for doing. It's sad, but this is our America. People chose to vote for hatred. And I don't know where they thought he could unify the country through hatred. But somewhere in his backwards mind, he thinks he has. But the only problem is now he's trying to control. Instead of, it thought the whole thing with the Republicans was less government in our lives. But you see, that was a lie. Because each day he's found a new way to dip his hand into the pockets and the lives of each American. Each day he tries to kill our spirits with some new disgusting way to take away our freedoms. Yeah, nice guy, this Trump. A lot of people don't understand that this man absolutely has no clue as to what he's doing. He's just following whatever loyal Republican kisses up to him the hardest. He's just following what they think they know about economics as far as driving a bear market. He didn't learn a thing about what happened to Argentina when he first got in office in 2016, that we ended up bailing Argentina out of all their financial problems. Yeah, guess what? Much like him, they were trying to run a bear market, and you can only run that market for so long, because, see, in a bear market, you're playing with tariffs that takes a toll on your economy's market. Yes, because if the importer exporter can't cover the toll, they can't bring in the product. And if they can't bring in the product, whatever reserves that was stored has to be used in-house, meaning within the country. Well, once that gets depleted, well, there's nothing to leverage for equity. That's right, against the bond that was issued, against how much surplus was available. Guess what happens? Boom, economy go boom. Somebody else has to bail your economy out, and chances are the person that bails your economy out thinks they own you now. Thinks you're forever in their debt. And that is the mindset of Trump in this bear market that he's running. Then he doesn't understand that when you run out of stocks, surplus, economy go boom crash in bear market. And when economy goes boom crash, there's nothing that can bail you out but another country coming over and putting concessions on running your market for you. Yeah, it gets pretty sad, doesn't it? Real fast. So, even the people that you thought you had to run in the middle of start taking a little chunk out of you at a time by selling off your bonds. That's right. Instead of keeping them, they sell them. Well, they made most of their money back. So in some cases, in some of the smaller countries, they made good money off of getting rid of the treasury bonds from the U.S. because they got a better trading partner over here in China or Japan or Korea. And the way Trump is running trying to be the bull in the China shop in the market, He's now got the Chinese and the Japanese and Koreans all in talks of trade, because those are true business minded people, and they're looking at, oh, if we don't get something to make our people happy so that they can start making money again, we're in trouble. So guess what? And these are countries with huge military bases, not like America. Okay? America has very small military compared to other countries. So Trump thinks because he has the key to the A-bomb, that makes us the big bully. But no, sir. Not at all. You've already given Putin more than an inch on American soil. Boy, it only took one debate with Kamala Harris and she laid your crap bare. Yes, she did. Nobody wanted to listen, but I bet they're going back reviewing that crap now going, boy, she called him out. Oh, everything that she said to him is coming true. Yeah. um, um, not saying that she would have done too much better for the American people, but we definitely wouldn't be sitting there worried about will we be able to vote come next election. Probably not. Because while he's had everyone distracted with this, that, and the other, and the Epstein files and all this other stuff, which he used the Epstein files as tangled bait to cover up the fact that he was stripping us of all our voting rights and everything else. If someone hadn't leaked his redistricting plan in Texas, we wouldn't have known he was gerrymandering Texas towards getting all Republican votes in all counties. Well, how can he do that? Simple. You got this county that's mostly Dems and a handful of Republicans. Well, you move those handful of Republicans over into a larger community base. Oh, you got a small hand of Democrats in a mostly Republican district? Oh, well, we'll just move them Dems over to another small pocket of Democrats. And now we got an even larger Republican base to pull from. Yeah, I know how gerrymandering works. They used to do it out in California underneath Reagan. We did it so often, it was making my head spin. It seemed like every 2 years after Reagan got in office, we were having to gerrymander again. Yes, people forget. Yes, he was governor of California before he became president. The only thing Schwarzenegger couldn't do is become president. When he got in office, he did the same thing. The first thing he did was redistrict the whole of California. But California is such a large, big state. Most of the state is Democratic, and there are small pockets of Republicans. So I could understand them feeling they had to beef up their Republican base. But to totally redistrict, to get rid of Democratic candidates off the ballot, wow, that's pretty sad. That is definitely sad. Everyone should get the same ballot. It shouldn't be a ballot of, well, you're Democratic, so we're only going to give you this list of names. But you don't know. I might have voted Republican, but you didn't give me that option because of the district I was in. And that's the problem with America. We've been taught to, if you can't categorize it, then it doesn't exist. It's not there. If you can't contain it, ignore it. So now we find ourselves in a pickle. And for all Trump's tough talk, like I said, we better start learning some Russian. Because we may have a Russian president come 2028 that we don't want and we didn't get a chance to vote for. He just walked right in. Because we don't know what kind of deal Trump is trying to make with him to bring peace. Between Russia and Ukraine. Oh well. For all you people think you want that heat, hey, more power to you. For those of us who don't want that kind of heat, you have to understand the idea of democracy among human beings technically has yet to be realized. The only reason why it cannot be realized is because the very wealthy are moving towards a total world autocracy. As long as this bear market stays in play, everybody's getting a little chunk of the money that's wealthy all around the world. The wealthy are getting their little chunks of money. The only problem is as they're getting their little chunks of money and their GDP is growing and everything else, America's GDP is going down again, because when you lessen the supply to trade with, or you deplete the supply to trade with, you have no equity when it comes to market. So all these financial gains that they're talking about in the stock market are empty. What I mean by empty, it's because they're waged against what surpluses we have built. Well, those surpluses are slowly being drained and depleted on soil, because most other countries have slowed, if not backed away completely from the US as far as a reliable trading partner. Yeah, and we've had several actual manufacturers that were on US soil reclaiming the manufacturing of their products on their own soil, as well as a few US farmers and so forth completely selling their farms out and moving out of America and up to Canada where they can work and actually make a living, because they can no longer do so down here in America. But this is what the wealthy calls a good economy, because they're making money. They're not thinking about the fact that what do you do when the companies that you have stock in can no longer produce, so that you can keep getting that good payoff. And if more countries start dropping the US Treasury bonds and start selling them on the market and not rebuying into the American market, um, ouch. uh, it's going to be a big ouch. Since Trump liked to talk in movie metaphors, here's one for you. Remember in Lord of the Rings, when they went to the dungeons, and found that the dwarves had dug so deep and plundered so hard that the wealth dried up because the dragon came and took it all. Well, that's pretty much where Trump has us now. His greed is so large that countries are starting to say, hey, wait a minute, now your tariffs have gotten out of hand because it's going to be harder for us to keep our GDPs high enough to remain stable as a sovereign nation. And they're backing away from the table, saying, hey, you can't do that. You're on your own. So even our allies have backed away. Of course, he's picked up a few new allies, but even they are waffling and saying, hey, wait a minute. No, this doesn't, no, we got to renegotiate this. He's already renegotiated a couple of trading contracts that actually puts America in a even worse spot she was in before he started all this tariff crap. I shouldn't call it crap because it is a tool that every president has to use. But you have to know when to use it and when to lose it and bring it back. This guy, as long as he's getting money, he'll just keep plundering until he can't plunder anymore and then end up spending. Which, yeah, he's already driven the deficit up to, 37 trillion, 38 trillion or something like that now. So I don't see him stopping that anytime soon. But he's going to keep promising the American people when he's going to release monies to those he feels deserve it, and to what sectors he's going to give away the monies. He should know by now. We're yawning and saying, is that all you got is a bedtime story? Next. On that note, good night, folks, because I'm just rambling, and this is a good way for me to ease my mind, get my rambling all out the way, and I'll catch you next time with something more substantial to say, and hope you all have a better tomorrow and a good night's rest. This is Carrie Dean for A Dullard Speaks, signing off.